Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Carrie Collins. This is Life Renovations week 16. And last week was nuts, wasn't it? Did anyone else clean out their entire house? Because I swear I got rid of 20 bags of stuff I was holding on to. And you can look at how clean my house is now. I mean, I could eat off the floors. Sometimes the best way to make a change is just to physically let go of the past. And that's as easy as throwing away the jeans from 10 years ago or the things that you're just lingering on to. And my God, it felt good to purge stuff. I didn't realize how much I've been holding on to. And so much has changed that I feel like last Thursday was like a year ago. But on another note, I've had the privilege this week to see and talk to a few of you who are making some really, really cool changes. One's getting up on stage, another joined a recreational sports team. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff, job changes, everything's happening. What I love most about it is that everyone's meeting new friends and new contacts that align with their goals. And it's so easy to keep on track when people know you in the context of your life's purpose. So it's been great to hear these stories, and I want to hear more, so keep telling me. But this week, I want to bring up wealth. Now, what is wealth? What exactly is it, and how do we get it? Wealth is anything that possesses an exchange value. Now, before we had paper or coin currency, people would trade for what they needed, like a goat or fur, stuff like that. The thing you possessed would be traded for something that you really needed. So if one person needs food and another person needs a blanket and another person needs horseshoes, then you all trade around and it all balances out. But when a seamstress needs meat from a cow and a rancher already has plenty of clothes, then the seamstress clothes don't have any value. So a common currency was created to divide up our resources and make this trade easier. So now a seamstress can sell clothes all over town and gather coins or paper notes, and she can buy a cow. And the rancher can go on to buy food for his herd with these same coins and paper notes. Now, the true value of an item is really in its exchange value. It's how much it's needed. This is the basic concept of supply and demand. The more people want what you have to offer, the higher the exchange value is. The more you accumulate what you need, the wealthier you are. If the rancher has tons of clothes and nothing to feed his herd, then you can't really consider him wealthy. If a seamstress has tons of clothes and nothing to eat herself, she can't be considered wealthy. Too many clothes means that clothes don't have any value. Too little food means that food has a ton of value. So the person with food can get anything he wants. The person with clothes doesn't get much at all. Wealth is your ability to obtain the things you need by having the things that someone else wants. So with a common currency, we're able to escape the too many clothes issue. And everybody wants this common currency. Wealth in itself, though, should never be considered an end, but a means to accomplishing an end. Your success is dependent upon reaching a higher plane of existence than just a padded bank account. Now, if you really aspire to success, you have to create the ideal that you're willing to strive towards. And when you have this ideal in mind, the ways and the means will come to you. This is also basic supply and demand. When you have a demand for something fixed for a definite purpose, the supply will present itself to you. Many of the richest people in our society started with nothing, building companies in their garages, starting from scratch and struggling to make ends meet. But all these people had a higher vision for themselves, kind of like a spiritual power from which they built on. Now, it wasn't making money that was the final goal. If you look at someone like Steve Jobs, his goal wasn't to swim in a bank vault full of gold coins like Ebenezer Scrooge. It was to build a superior product. And he kept his focus. He kept his focus steady on the ideal that he wanted to create, and his wealth matched that ideal. Now, you have the ability to harness this power as well. There are only 3 steps to this process, and they're steps we've learned so far: idealization, visualization, and materialization. So first, you have to have a clear purpose with no limitations or fears. Second, you visualize your purpose, taking account all of the obstacles or challenges that come up so that if you face them, they don't derail your process. And lastly, you have to allow your purpose to materialize. There's a cause and an effect. Thought not only precedes the action, it determines it. We've been learning through this course that nothing exists in the world except by thought and the orderly and harmonious patterns of nature. And this is true with wealth as well. Your thoughts will determine how much money you make. Now think about a successful person you know. He or she is an idealist and always striving to be better and better. They're optimistic and they always seem to turn the bad into good. And you're learning to do this too. Every day, your thoughts subtly take form in your mood. Your mood defines the quality of your life. If you wake up every day feeling productive and optimistic, you'll be a productive and optimistic person. When you wake up every day feeling depressed and fearful, then you're a depressed and fearful person. Now this seems obvious, but if you can become aware of your thoughts and change them, you can change the conditions of your life. And when you use your thoughts to build the conditions you want in life, they become action and the change starts. Now, we know this because we've been spending so much time with affirmations and changing our thought processes. But money is a really scary topic for most people. Our parents, who were taught by generations and generations before them, teach us how to handle wealth. And if you want more wealth, you have to know that you can change your mood surrounding money. And you do that by idealization. Now, we've all heard of people who win the lottery or inherit large sums of money and then quickly waste it away. Premature wealth starts a process of decline because there's no effort behind the wealth or any great purpose that this wealth is going to fund. You can't hold on to the things you haven't earned. Now, people throw away lottery money on material things that might bring temporary happiness, like a house or a fancy car, and they quit their jobs. But what they find is they just have a lot of assets, and they have to take care of all these things as they're starting to depreciate. Like a gigantic house with tons of room and nobody to fill them is really lonely. And so they usually end up really unhappy. If they haven't done the work to determine what their purpose is, then their money can't bring them success and it'll just waste away. Material things without purpose will not bring you happiness. Now we know that our outer world is a reflection of our inner world. This is not to say that you think positive things and things immediately just change to gold. Everything in our outer world is perceived through our senses. And if you keep a positive mental attitude, even a house built with cinder blocks can keep you happy as long as your ideals are met. Now, if you want more than cinder blocks, then you have to aspire to more. And when you look around you, the things that you're surrounded with are what you have determined you need to feel successful. If you feel like you need more, then you have to strive to get to that level. And that starts first in your mind through visualization. Whatever enters the mind through your senses and through reason will result in a mental image that becomes this blueprint for the creative energy in you and the universe. Oftentimes we end up with the same quality of life that our parents had, or the things that we saw as a child. The quality of things that we demand are similar to what we experienced growing up. For instance, I was a second child, only 14 months younger than my older sister. We also had an extra neighbor who was just a few years older than both of us. So needless to say, I rarely was given brand new clothes. Most of my clothes were hand-me-downs from my sister. Once or twice a year, we'd get a trash bag full of outgrown clothes from the neighbor and we'd tear it open and pick through them. And she was super cool and really stylish, so it was kind of exciting and awesome. Now, for this reason, shopping and buying new clothes, it's never really been a priority for me. The quality of the clothes I wore my entire life have always been a little bit worn, and that's okay with me. By the time the clothes made their way to my younger sister, they were about 5 years old at the least. So for her, buying new clothes was really important and still is. In fact, about twice a year, I go shopping in her closet and collect things she's ready to pass off, like this shirt. It's awesome. I didn't buy it myself. Now, my mom was the youngest of 8 children. She had no qualms about hand-me-downs either, because that's all she had. And in her mind, it's just what you do. It was never an issue. Now, in the same way, the experiences you're having now are the result of your environment and your past. Now, do I want to always wear hand-me-down clothes? I haven't even ever thought about it, but wouldn't it be nice to have great new clothes? Yeah, it's just not a thing I care about. Your thoughts have to be kind of analyzed before you can allow them to reach your subconscious. Now, in my case, I can accept that secondhand clothes are okay, but I can also create a budget for new clothes for myself and treat myself. Now, this is a small example, but consider the other rules you've accepted about the quality of your life. Is it important for you to have a clean house? Is it important for you to eat really high quality foods? Is it important for you to look your best before you leave the house? Your demand for quality is a reflection of the rules you've accepted throughout your life. You can form your own mental images through the process of visualization and weed out the thoughts that come from others' opinions, the conditions in your environment, or the rules you received from your upbringing. When you can control your thoughts this way, you can control not only your destiny, but your mind, your body, and your soul. You take control of your own fate and consciously make it exactly what you want. This is simply because when you consciously realize a condition, that condition will eventually manifest in your life. It's not just the quality of your thoughts, but it's the quality of the analysis of your thoughts that's the cause of all effects. When you control your thoughts, you control all circumstances, conditions, environment, and even your destiny. At this point, controlling your thoughts sounds really simple. You've been doing it for 15 weeks. But we think all day long, so maybe it's not so simple. So let's recap what we've learned so far. When you think, you create a thought. But the result of that thought depends entirely on its quality and vitality. The physical form of your thoughts that your thoughts take depend entirely on the mental image that you create, the depth of the impression, the importance of your idea, the clarity of your vision, and the boldness of the image. If you earnestly desire something, then it has to be created with strength, courage, and determination. And above all, you have to give life through your thoughts, through your emotions. And remember, love equals thought plus vitality. Love is the thing out of which all things are brought into physical life. Your thoughts grow, they develop, and expand. And just like a tree growing outside, every nutrient that you need will be attracted to you, absorbed, and will feed your goals so that they have everything they need to grow to their complete form. And this is the law of attraction. It's not some mystical law that all these gurus are talking about these days. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of focus to get what you really want. Now, if your thoughts are destructive, you're allowing germs to contaminate your purpose. So for the tree, if the soil is full of toxins, then the tree becomes sick, it's diseased, it dies. This power of destructive thought can sometimes be called like good or bad or evil. When bad stuff happens to us, we're really quick to blame it on some horrible person or some awful thing that seems really out of our control. Now, if our thoughts manifest into what you might consider like into evil or bad, then you have to remember that creative power is always striving towards harmony. And we've learned that harmony isn't always butterflies and unicorns. If your thoughts are vibrating on a level that's a really dark thought, then the harmony means that things will come to you that resonate with that darkness. If negative conditions come into your life, it's only a physical manifestation of your thoughts. Your life is in harmony with your thoughts, but in the plane you don't want them to be. Good and bad are not separate entities. They're one and the same. They're just on different ends of the spectrum. So if your thoughts are constructive and creative, you'll manifest good. You'll be vibrating up here and things will happen up here. But if your thoughts are destructive and singular, they'll manifest evil. They'll be on the other end of the spectrum. If you want to manifest good in your life, you have to analyze your intentions and make sure they are constructive and creative. Now, this whole process is pretty simple. You hold your ideal purpose in mind until your vision's been made real. You can't allow people, places, or things to be involved in your vision because they don't have any place there. So like if you want to have a home in Florida, you might be really surprised to find out that you're being attracted to the mountains. So think about what your goal really is. Is a house in Florida the end goal, or is the end goal to retire comfortably in a place that brings you great joy? Now the same is true with people. If you're including someone else in your goal, you might be limiting yourself to what they can accomplish. Or even worse, you might be holding them hostage to living out your life's purpose instead of living out their own. You can limit your true happiness by assigning a person, place, or thing to your goal. The right people, places, and things will come to you at the right time and in the right place, and they might surprise you. Hold your creative and constructive vision in your mind at all times. That's the process. When you visualize, you're using your imagination, but you can't let it just run wild. Your imagination, it's like, it could be like a horse. You can keep it really controlled and like it's ready to go, or it's like running all over the place. When you imagine, be sure to stay in fact. Now this isn't time to daydream. Don't imagine things that are speculations or drawing conclusions. Every kind of outcome or opinion might be accepted by your subconscious as true, and that gets put into work, so you have to be careful. Analyze your thoughts and only accept things that are true and factual in your visualization. Now you start to notice that when what you think creates the quality of your mind. And the quality of mind creates your mental capacity and your ability to reach your life's purpose. As you grow and change, your demand for things that match that quality will also rise, and the supply will match that demand. You'll make sure of it because you'll stand for nothing less. You'll naturally bring more wealth into your life, just like the tree that only needs a small amount of nourishment as a sapling then grows into this giant oak tree. The amount of nourishment it receives from the soil increases in direct proportion to its growth. You, even now, are provided with the nourishment you need to propel you to your highest potential. This nourishment, or your wealth, if you want to think of it that way, can be even higher and higher depending on the quality of your thoughts. Now, the amount of wealth you have or will have is dependent upon your aspirations. Money is just the middleman between effort and desire. It's not the end result. So you have to think, what is it that you really want? How about health and happiness and comfort and security? Have a clear vision of what success means to you and consciously visualize it. Analyze it for truth. Give it vitality through emotion. Then hold it steady and don't allow anything or anyone to interfere. And then you'll draw the resources you need to allow your process to grow. Now for your journaling, this week is very similar to last week. I want you to take this amazing paragraph that you've written of your life's purpose, and I want you to put it to the test even more. So each day, continue editing this document. Go over every line. Is each sentence displaying thoughts of creativity and constructiveness? And remember that creativity means pulling things together to form something new. Constructiveness means that you're enriching or helping the lives of others or your environment. If you find any sentences that display signs of selfish or ulterior motives, you have to rewrite them and make them constructive or creative. Find your highest degree. This is the scale of good and bad. If it's selfish, that's bad. If it's constructive, that's super good. So find yourself on higher on the scale. Second, I want you to go through each line and change all the words that relate to specific people, places, or things, and change the description of what you ultimately hope to achieve from the person, place, or thing. So if you've listed like something about your husband, you can change that to a description of your husband, like the person who commits to love you for life. If you want a house in Palm Springs, then instead of saying my house in Palm Springs, you say my home where I feel completely myself and comfortable. Be open to what nutrients the universe will bring you to feed you your ideal. It might not be exactly what you expect. And by all means, do not ever assign a job or a task in your life's purpose to someone who's not agreed to it. They might be on a different path, and it's a selfish motive to subject a specific person to your will, and it'll result in failure. To achieve the highest level of attainment, be as descriptive as possible without limiting yourself to specific people, places, and things. Third, I want you to go through each line and analyze it for truth. Now, this is difficult because you're looking into the future and not much is actually really true, but it's different. I want you to analyze each sentence and see if it's based off of preconceived notions of what you should do or what's expected of you. Is this what you really want or what somebody else has displaced on you? Change any sentence that you think would make someone else proud of you or what someone else expects of you or what you think is your legacy. Every sentence should reflect your earnest desires only. Fourth, go through each line and add as much emotion as possible. Remember, words are powerful, and words with emotions are powerhouses of vitality. Use descriptive adjectives to explain your feelings surrounding your ideal. Once your ideal purpose is written clearly, analyzed, and given vitality, I want you to try to memorize it from beginning to end. Imagine you're going to present it as a speech. Have each word, each phrase memorized in your head. Once memorized, this beautifully written statement that you have pondered over for 2 weeks is yours forever whenever you want to spend time visualizing. You can be in the bus, you could be waiting in line, you could be at the doctor's, on an airplane. I mean, we have plenty of times to go into the silence. You just close your eyes and start running over the words in your head. Start off slow, memorize one sentence at a time. Imagine that the words are being written on a movie screen as you say them. And you can even imagine the picture of your ideal on the movie screen, like the subtitles in the picture, like you're telling a movie or writing a movie. Tell the story of your success with the most vivid detail that you can. And get as far as you can with it this week. It's a lot of work to memorize this. It's a lot of work. If you don't get it memorized by next Thursday, that's okay. Just read it to yourself in like a voice memo or audio tape it somehow so that you can listen to it at least. And this last step is really important, mainly because you've done the idealization, that's the writing process. Visualization is this step. You have to visualize, you have to very clearly visualize what your goal is without any limitations or lack. I mean, it's got to be like pristine. And the third step is materialization. This is what's coming to you. This is the actual, like, it's created. So The second step, this visualization, is very important. Now, you're still going to have a meditation, but this meditation is something that you can do once, or you can do it every day for a short amount of time. So in the silence this week, I want you to reflect on material wealth. Try to bring yourself to the realization that harmony and happiness are states of consciousness and not dependent on the possession of things. Things are effects and come as a consequence of your mental state. If you desire material possessions, your biggest concern should be to acquire the mental attitude that will bring the results you want. Realize that the universal mind is a substance for all things and brings about everything that's necessary for our complete enjoyment. So, like I said, you don't need a lot of time for this, 5 to 10 minutes maybe. Focus your thoughts on what you believe about wealth. Analyze your fears surrounding wealth. What kind of demands you have for your quality of life, why you haven't gotten the things you thought you really desired, and why it is that, or what it is that you really do desire. And then you take those few minutes, but then spend the rest of the time of your meditation time working on your guided journaling and memorizing. Now for your physical challenge, this is good. Last week we talked a lot about listening to your body's response to pain and fear and honoring that by doing things that feel good to you. And this week is another fun week. I want you to try something new again, but this time not for physical fitness, but for pleasure. Explore something that makes you feel really fantastic, whether it's active or passive. It could be therapeutic, like body work or a day at the spa. It could be walking through an art museum and awakening your senses. It could be something that makes you feel really energetic, like going dancing. Or it could be something that feeds you emotionally, like working with children or with animals. It could even be something that feeds you spiritually, like making music or making art. Now, your goal is to receive pleasure by doing something great for your body and receiving information from your 5 senses. And for your diet challenge, this week we're going to talk about fruit. It's quite possibly the most amazing food for humans possible. Fruits are all full of nutrients, vitamins, antioxidants, all kinds of greatness, but you already knew that. I want to talk to you about some of the lesser known reasons to indulge in the glory of fruit. Some diets these days tell you to stay away from fruits because they have a really high sugar content. And there are plenty of reasons to eat fruit though. So let me just tell you some of my favorites. So first, imagine that you're on a long walk and it's hot and you're thirsty and you're hungry and you come across a grapevine that's full of like big bunches of thick, luscious grapes. And the leaves are like shining in the sun, and each bunch of grapes is so heavy it's nearly falling off the vine with heavy juice and ripeness. And you grab some and you feel them just fall between your fingers when you pluck them off the vine. And you bring it to your mouth, and when you bite down in the flesh, the sugary juice just like drips down your chin, and with each bite, more of the sweetness hits your taste buds, so you grab more and more and more and more and more. Your hands are super sticky and you feel like totally satiated, and then you move on. It's great. Now, if you're listening, like really listening and envisioning this, you're probably salivating already. Now, there's a reason for this. Let me tell you a story. One day, I was sitting in my living room eating grapes. Now, my cats, who you know by now are totally nuts, were sitting at the window cackling at a bird and trying to trick it to coming in so they could eat it. Of course, there was a screen there. They were never going to eat it. But they were so intensely focused on this bird, I'm sure they would have done anything to rip the feathers right off of it. And I thought, oh, how cute. Look how cute they are. And they're cute. They're making that sound. And what a pretty little bird. And then the bird flew away, and it was great. Now, as I was enjoying my grapes, I accidentally dropped one on the floor. And my cats start playing with it. I mean, everything's like a toy to them. And when they got bored with it, they went right back to the window and started hunting again. Now, they never even thought to eat this grape. They just threw it around a little bit and then left it. And I thought, if I caught a bird, I would want it to be my friend. I wouldn't want to rip its flesh apart. But my first thought when I see a grape is to rip its flesh apart. Now, humans are not natural carnivores. There are a lot of reasons why, but the main one is we're not really capable of killing and eating animals with our hands. So what do we do when we glance at ripe fruit? We hunt it. Well, I mean, sort of. Now, we hunt meat too, and this is true. I don't have any problem with eating meat, but we can't do it without a tool. We're unable to immediately devour it, and we have to skin it, we have to cook it. It's huge, so we have to split it up. We can't eat it all in one sitting. And sometimes we have to use a knife and a fork to eat it. And we've even come up with all kinds of recipes for how to eat meat with our hands. But even that requires some work. Like you have to make a hamburger bun or put skewers in the thing. Now fruit is just there for the taking. Our fingers and our teeth are fully capable of eating it as soon as we find it with absolutely no preparation at all. So why is this important? I mean, fruit is one of the only foods that you can take with you. You can easily take it with you. Like an apple or banana, they're fully enclosed. They don't need any refrigeration, heating, or utensils. Berries can be taken right off the plant. Even a melon, like a watermelon, can be opened easily by just hitting it on the ground. Fruit is like the perfect food for human consumption. I saw actually the first time my niece ever ate a peach. She actually took one bite of it from another girl who was holding it in her hand. She grabbed it. She was maybe a year and a half, I don't know. And she shoved the entire thing in her mouth and didn't stop eating it until the entire thing was gone. I mean, it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. It's the perfect food for us. Now, we all know the nutritional value of fruit, so I'm not going to go into all of that, but I do want to talk about something really cool. Water. The juice in fruit has water that's not only been filtered by the soil in the ground, but through the arteries of the plant. So pure fruit juice from a fruit is one of the greatest and purest ways to rehydrate. Now, if that's not enough, fruit is beautiful. Now, I mean gorgeous. Think about the produce section at your local grocery store. It's like a work of art. Different colors and all sorts of shapes. If you go to a paint store, you won't be surprised to find out that a lot of paints are actually named after fruits, and people buy them to decorate their house like fruit. It's not only aesthetically pleasing to us because it's colorful and aesthetically pleasing because we crave it, we love it, we desire it. Its sole purpose is to attract us to it so that we can devour it. And when we do, it's a sensual experience, incorporating all of our senses and sending signals to the pleasure centers of our brain. It's the reason why we're used to seeing fruit as a symbol for fertility and sexuality. It's not only gorgeous, it's sensual. So, for this week's diet challenge, I want you to go hunting to a farmer's market or to a grocery store. And make this a separate trip from your usual grocery shopping. Make it an experience. Go hungry. Take your time in the produce section and use your senses. Touch the fruit, look at how beautiful it is, imagine how it would taste and smell it. Try things you've never had before. Don't buy fruit because you should. Buy it because you can barely wait to take a huge bite out of it. Now don't bag it, don't put it in those little plastic bags. Put it directly in the basket that you have at the grocery store. And when you get to the checkout line, lay it out on the checkout line. Look at the cornucopia you've created, the colors and the smells. I mean, it's gorgeous. When I do this, it's not uncommon for people to comment about how beautiful my selection of groceries are, how jealous they are that I'm buying all of this stuff and they're buying boxes of food. When you get home, I want you to wash everything, put them in a bowl and set them out. Leave it as a decoration in a common area, just like you would put out fresh flowers. And you can eat this fruit throughout the week as long as it stays, as long as it stays good. And eat it not just because it's healthy or because you think you should, but because it's really an incredibly pleasing experience. So that's it for this week. And I think you'll find this week to be actually really amazing. It's all about increasing the quality of your life and doing things that make you feel really good for a good purpose. And you'll start to see that when you increase the demand for quality and the way that you treat yourself, the supply will start to follow. So as you start to grow here and you say, this is the quality I expect in my life, then the money will come to match, or the things that you need will come to match. Remember, wealth is just having the ability to gather the things that you need. All right? So that's it for this week. If anybody needs to log off for now that we're done, that's great. And I will see you guys next week. And if anyone wants to stick around for questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. All right?